Welcome everybody to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, 1M1M is geared to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue by 2020 and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. We are delighted to work with our two corporate partners, ANN Media in England and Elance, which is actually all over the place, although headquartered in the United States in Silicon Valley, not far from where we are. We have today in the session a contest. We're going to basically have all the people who are going to be pitching, all the entrepreneurs who are going to be pitching today are actually going to be part of a contest, and we're going to award some 1M1M scholarships that are sponsored by ANN Media and Elance. And judging the contest will be Dominique Trampon, who is on the board of DMGT, ANN Media's parent company, and Rich Pearson from Elance, and Rich is the Chief Marketing Officer of Elance. So, and of course, I will be throwing in my 2 cents as well in the judging process. Co-hosting the roundtable today is Imperial College from the United Kingdom. I'm sure you've heard of Imperial College. It's often referred to as the MIT of Britain. And a lot of what's going on in this partnership today is ANN Media has taken on the charter of stimulating entrepreneurship in Britain in a big way and really supporting the entrepreneurship community of Britain, including the university entrepreneurship communities. So that's what's led us to partnering with Imperial College and inviting them to co-host this roundtable with us. Having said that, all parties concerned, ANN Media, Elance, as well as 1M1M, are all global companies. ANN Media has a readership of 130 million consumers. And that is a global footprint. And Elance also has a global footprint of both vendors as well as companies who hire from their services platform. So they'll tell you more about Elance and ANN Media at the end of the session and how all this ties in together. But in general, please remember that we are all trying to do business on a global basis. So companies out of the UK are often looking to get into Silicon Valley. Companies in the US, and you'll see both formats today, many of the companies that we see here are looking to access large consumer audiences globally and so forth. So all those objectives are built into what you're going to see today in the session. So let's dive in. This is, by the way, our 130th free roundtable. It's been going on for a long time, and these have become very popular sessions. You will have a recording available to refer to share with, and so forth. If you're live tweeting the show, please use hashtag 1M1M. And you can join us on Twitter at 1M by 1M, and my Twitter account is @Sramana. We have a very active Twitter channel. So our first presenter today is Bruce Hellman. Bruce, if you could unmute your line and come and tell us what you're doing, that would be great. Your line is breaking up, Bruce. No, we cannot hear you. We can hear you, but it's we cannot understand you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to have to move on, let you sort this out with Maureen, and we're going to move to the next presenter and start with
Mike.
All right, Christopher, if you could please unmute your line and tell us what you're up to.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear and perfectly. Go ahead.
Okay, brilliant. I'll start. So I'm tuning in from Imperial College London, the business school here. and I'm going to pitch to you an idea of the online exchange platform for last-minute print advertising space in the UK. So the idea came out of a conversation I had with a friend of mine at an independent publisher called Raconteur. She explained a bit about how the business works, which they pay the Times and the Sunday Times, where they put their reports in, $25,000 to get the report in. They then raise enough advertising revenues based on the nature and the subject of the report, and on average make around 60k. However, on their blockbuster reports, when they sell all of the advertising space within in the paper, they can reach up to 120k. She described a particular problem they have in selling advertising space in the last 2 or 3 days, and sometimes even a week before they go to print, as they frequently have unfilled space which is either padded out, sold through significant rate card discounts, or simply cut from the paper, and therefore they lose out on potential profits. And if we go on to the next slide.
So Christopher, before you move on, let me set one thing clear for all of our understanding. This is an exchange, a marketplace for print advertising, not online advertising, correct?
Exactly.
Online platform for print advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, okay.
Okay, so our solution was not exactly an online platform, which enables the buying and selling of the space from independent print. So it could be newspapers, local and potentially national, although our market research has showed they don't have such a need for this. But mainly local newspapers, trade magazines, and consumer magazines. It runs through an automated criteria-based matching system where the two sides, the media owners, put their advertise their space on it, and then the media buyers then can enter their criteria for the nature of the publication, for the content of the report, and then match their criteria with the media owners in order to find publications where they can best target their advertising. So the next slide. Our market assumptions, we segmented the market in terms of national, regional, and local papers, as well as magazines. And we contacted expert witnesses from various publications, including Raconteur. We started with the Financial Times. The sales team, the account manager there explained how perhaps for national newspapers they wouldn't require this service, as they often don't have a problem filling the advertising space, and also they're very particular about who actually advertises in their publications. However, when we spoke to independent publishers and smaller consumer magazines, and especially local newspapers, they saw a real use for this kind of platform, provided that the people on the other side, so the other side of the market, actually knew that we existed. We, having interviewed various people in these magazines and newspapers, they explained the sales process and how it's moved from a consultative sales process to a much more transactional way of selling their space, where people, as long as they know what their magazine is about and perhaps the kind of content they would put in, it's very easy to for the buyer to locate the kind of publication in which they'd like to advertise. And they're all facing serious problems now with declining revenues, and they're looking for innovative ways of basically cutting the cost of their sales team, and also trying to bridge the gap between the unsold space in the last few minutes and not having to basically cut down the paper every time or pad it out with other articles. So those are the market assumptions, and then on the next slide, I
have a question on, you have competition, a bunch of stuff from Google and Yahoo. What is your differentiation? What do you do that they don't do?
Yeah, so this actually relates more to the long-term plan, which is what we want to do is provide this platform for publishers in the print side of the industry, and then move online, and basically move with them as they move online and take those relationships to an online platform for online advertising space.
Do they have a platform for print or not?
Yes, the biggest competition, actually, Google and Yahoo are kind of offer their own products, but the biggest competition is coming from a company called Elance in the UK, and they already offer an exchange platform for very large national newspapers, and their main customers are media agencies, but there's nothing to do with last-minute ad sales, and the people we've actually spoken to don't tend to use them. They're mainly focused on online, but they offer the print as a kind of as a substitute as well. So yeah, just to explain, the short-term focus is on this niche market of last-minute space, really trying to get those extra sort of bucks in the last few minutes to rather than having to cut the adverts, really go to the next steps of trying to sell them to a wider audience or a wider number of people than just on the sort of the list of the salesperson. To focus on that niche, build up relationships on both sides of the market, so media owners sort of want to, again, hopefully make that move online, and with the media buyers, so the marketing departments of business to business, large brands, large corporate companies, or just small businesses as well. And then hopefully in the long term expand across other media, specifically online, of course, but having those same relationships, but managing basically breaking into the online exchange platform space. And then finally, it's a bit out of date now, as we have actually spoken to our expert witnesses on both, well, more on one side of the market, which is probably more important at this stage with the media owners. And we've noticed that the national newspapers probably wouldn't be as interested as more regional and local papers and trade magazines and consumer magazines. We've also done just a small blueprint of the actual service, so just showing the kind of criteria that both sides would be inputting and how that could be matched, and also just trying to make it the most expedient process possible. We also discussed in interviews with whether or not a bidding platform or a team sales platform would work, and we came to the conclusion that bidding would probably be best. Also a hidden bidding system, because most publications don't want their competitors knowing what their rate cards are. And finally, this was just a short slide just to combat any questions of people saying it's a dying industry, that the print media industry is actually, the revenues are flat, which isn't promising from their perspective, but they are said to remain flat for years to come, and there is still potential there in a market that's slowly disappearing.
Okay. I think we've got what you're doing, Christopher. I'm going to give the judges a chance to ask questions. Dominique, would you like to go first?
Yeah, can you say a bit more about the competitive nature and how fast you think you can ramp up this business with something pretty unique?
Sure. So very luckily, at being at Imperial College Business School, we're very close to the college. And there's a professor called Errol, I can't remember his last name, but when I first came, he gave a lecture about a platform that he had developed through grant funding 2 years ago. And it's built it's basically a bidding platform, a real-time bidding platform specifically for online advertising space. And he's actually pitched it to Microsoft and Google, who have actually their own very specific platforms, which they've built themselves, of course, and work with their own products. However, I actually interviewed him, and he said this kind of platform could be improved and actually made specific for print, which is actually very idiosyncratic in the way it works. Most importantly, in terms of the production of advertising collateral, so the actual advert that goes in the space it's not always very consistent, and it requires an upload process, something that could be very, very long and drawn out, and which doesn't really work when we've got this, this last-minute kind of niche, which is basically our unique selling point. So we can basically create this platform where it's a bidding platform, but it's actually done in a very expedient way. So the whole process is made very easy for both sides involved and automated.
We need to speed up a bit. We have 5 other presenters, so I need to give Rich a chance to ask a question quickly before we move on from this presenter.
Great. So just a quick one on why wouldn't the competitors, because they seem to have some technology talent, why wouldn't they go after this niche as well?
I think there's just a general impression that this is a dying industry, a dying market, and therefore they're not willing to. They've gone specifically for online. So everyone else is working on the online side, and has kind of given up on the print side, which I think is a shame, because business school always teaches us that there's always potential in dying markets, not to sort of rule them out. And yeah, nothing exists. I've spoken to everyone, all these people in the FT, the Times, Raconteur, small magazines, and they don't know of anything that actually fits for print specifically.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chris. I think we've understood what you're doing.
Okay.
We're going to move to the next presenter, Mike Newman, from My1Login. Mike, if you could unmute your line, please.
Okay, thank you, Sramana. So my business is My1Login, which I launched on the 1st of March this year. And essentially our
what do you need? What do you need? Somebody is screaming, somebody is interrupting the call, and I suspect it's Yvonne. If you could unmute your line.
I don't know what she's actually waiting for because she said she was sending us content. I don't know what she needs. If you can tell her.
Maureen, can you mute her line?
No one else knows what's going on with it. Ask her. See if she's looking for paint to match the color.
Who is streaming the noise into the call? All right, go on, Mike.
Okay, no problem. So I launched My1Login on the 1st of March in this year. We launched our consumer proposition, and it's geared towards making the internet a more simple and secure place. If we move on to the next, so the typical problem for an individual or an employee of a business will be a relating number of logins, PIN numbers, telephone banking passwords. Their options are make them the same. That's not a good idea for security reasons, as we all know from the recent LinkedIn hack. Or they make them all unique and complex, in which case that's great for security, but it's extremely difficult to remember. My1Login provides an alternative to that. It's free, it improves security, and it's easy to remember and mobile in that it's available from any internet device with no software or hardware required. So the picture's frozen here, so I'm just going to carry on with the audio if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If we move to the next slide.
Is that the one that you want, the value proposition slide?
Yeah, so sorry, it's just I think my system's just catching up here. I'm still on the previous slide.
So while your slides are catching up, Mike, what is your plan to compete? This is single sign-on is an extremely competitive market. Everybody is trying to own this single sign-on space. Facebook is trying to own it. You know, they are actually probably one of the ones that are making some progress. How do you compete with all that?
So it's actually becoming more straightforward. The more high-profile hacks there are, such as LinkedIn, and that's not obviously the end of them. The more it exposes the vulnerabilities of using the same login credentials or the same authentication, single sign-on across numerous sites. In effect, what we're seeing is that there is a growth of 30% year-on-year on the password management market, and we're seeing that as it's a more secure way of authenticating to sites versus using single sign-on or Facebook Connect, OpenID, or the Twitter scheme. So although it might satisfy those for some social media accounts, I certainly wouldn't be signing into my bank using my Facebook account. So the value proposition is that one cloud-based password manager where essentially you can sign in once into a highly secure portal and access all your various logins and seamlessly click into sites with one click. The net effect of that is it allows you to make complex logins for each site, which improves your online security, and it also makes signing into sites easy. The value proposition for business, in half two of this year, we'll be launching our B2B proposition, and we've had great interest in that already from businesses that have seen our consumer product and used it. The value proposition is based on increased security across the organisation through moving away from single sign-on, improved productivity, and reducing overhead. In actual fact, we can strip out operating costs out of the organisation through more efficient software license and third-party service license management. By running it through My1Login, we can determine if you're perhaps over capacity or underutilising your licenses that you're paying for. The good thing about the business product is rather than being a burden for employees, it actually is faster, easier, and provides them with mobility. If we go on to the next slide, our go-to-market plan. So basically, our marketing strategy is based on a referral-based model, whereby users, we want to encourage users to refer out, and they'll be rewarded with an upgrade to our Pro account. And on the receiving side of that referral model, the recipient will also gain a temporary trial of a Pro account, so there's a call to action immediately. So the big challenge for us is going out and letting consumers know that we're here and we've got a solution that can help them out with the multitude of logins they have and make them more secure. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. So on next slide is our strategy and go-to-market for our business. So we're dealing at this stage. We're dealing with the SME market, and that's up. Organisations of up to several hundred employees. But in 2013, we'd look to extend that further and address larger enterprise markets. The next slide is just giving the kind of the engagement model we have in terms of direct selling, the routes we use the channels we use for business products, and then just moving on quickly because I know we're short of time. The next slide is our competitor analysis. So I've listed there a number of the consumer propositions that we compete with. We differentiate entirely in that we are fully cloud-based. We're more secure than the competitors in that with MyOneLogin you need a username, password, and a unique key phrase in order to access your account, whereas with our closest competitor you only need a username and password, and we feel that that's not sufficient security considering you may be storing bank details in here. The next slide outlines our markets and revenue model. The free consumer product is actually supported not just from advertising but from affiliate commissions. So if you click through from our site to go to Amazon or British Airways, we're registered as an affiliate, so we generate revenue from any transactions you complete with the destination site. We also have a paid-for upgrade to the subscription product, whereby we don't take any affiliate commissions. You're paying for a subscription for the service, and so the user has the choice. Our cloud control service is our business or SME targeted service launching in half 2, and that's subscription based. And as I said, in 2013 we'll be moving into the enterprise space. So I guess moving on to the last slide, the strategic issues for us are we've got a free solution that can help mitigate the risk posed by the recent LinkedIn hack, for example. But how do we let consumers know? There's a free solution to the problem of having too many passwords that also improves our security, and that's one of the big challenges we have in order for us to be successful. And the other strategic issue is how do we compete successfully when we're not in the Silicon Valley ecosystem, where typically most of these large global consumer propositions emanate from, and that's, I guess, the two questions I would leave the panel with. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll let Rich start with his questions, and Maureen, you need to give me the presentation access again. Something happened. All right, Rich, go ahead.
Hi, Sramana. It's Charlie from A&N Media. Whilst we're waiting for Rich, we've got a couple of questions our end. We've had a bit of trouble trying to get spoken access, guys, so sorry about that, but we've been able to listen in, which is good. We've got a few of us here. I guess our question for this one is around just, maybe we're missing something here, but just exactly how this is more secure than someone like LinkedIn, for example, having their own security measures in place. I think we're struggling a little bit to see that leap from what makes this even more secure than them. And maybe if you could just briefly outline that for us, I think that would help a lot.
Sure, no problem. So at the core of our service, the fundamental principle is that we don't actually store your login details. All we store is a version of them that has been encrypted within the browser prior to them being sent and stored on our servers. Now, the key that's used to encrypt the data is a phrase essentially that's chosen by the user when they set up their account. So they create one strong, memorable key phrase, and that's used to encrypt all of their other login details before they're sent to and stored by us. So even if in the unlikely circumstances that our systems were compromised in some way, the data that the hackers would be able to retrieve would be just a bunch of scrambled information. Now, if you take a key phrase that's, say, 20 characters long, so something like to be or not to be, that's the question, that would take, even the latest supercomputers working at 1 billion attempts per second, it would still take them millions of years to go through every permutation to try and decrypt that data. So the encryption algorithm we use is called AES, Advanced Encryption Standard. It's an open standard, and it's renowned as basically the most secure encryption standard you can get. In the hacking community...
All right, folks, you're going to have to learn to answer questions much more quickly. We're only on the second presenter. We have 4 other presenters, and you need to answer questions in sentences, not ramble on and on. We need to still go through Rich's question, Dominic's question, and then move to the next presenter. This is moving slower than we need to, so please speed up. Rich, you're up next.
Sure. My main question is, a lot of the successful companies here have relied on fear on the virus side. So do you have a plan to elevate the severity of this risk? It seems like that would be a key issue for success.
Well, that's a great point, Rich, and something that I'll take back and work through with our PR agency and see if we can help create a bit of that to get some attention. So thanks very much. That's good advice.
Dominique, how about you?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. You need to think about, are you going to compete with free? Because I think you will have big players in this market entering, and it's going to be very hard to charge for this functionality. The second little comment I would have is that make sure that your user experience is extremely simple. Don't get people to start typing in a lot of things. Think about how PayPal did it, kind of one click and you're done. That may be your best weapon.
Okay.
So we actually offer the product for free, Dominique, and certainly we're investing in a bit of usability experience to help improve the user experience and make it as seamless as possible.
Excellent.
We've had a good traction to date, but obviously we need a lot more to create the revenues we need to sustain us.
Okay, we're going to move to the next presenter. Thank you, Mike. We got what you're doing, and the next presenter is Yvonne Biggins. Yvonne, if you could unmute your line.
Yep, sure.
Everyone at the cafe to be very quiet while you otherwise you're all the call.
This is all part and parcel of being a startup. So working out of a small office in London that's extremely noisy, I had to move to a cafe that I thought would be a little bit quieter. So I hope it's not too much noise in the background. You can hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Do I move the slides on myself with the arrows?
I'll be moving the slides. You don't have access to the presentation. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just going to cover the vision and mission behind Movelis, then the concept and some results to date, background and proof of concept. We'll look at a little bit at our product marketing roadmap and some financial requirements and goals, and I'll introduce you to some of the team as well. So we can move on to the next slide, please. So our vision is quite activistic. We'd like to democratize the publishing industry. We see ourselves as quite a disruptive technology, and we think that the publishing industry is ripe for disruption at the moment. Our mission is to provide, it's quite a social mission actually, it's to provide the best social experience, and I mean social in terms of a more social enterprise meaning of the word rather than social network, but it's to provide the best social experience for creating, discovering and promoting stories and young talents across the world. We want to become a leading global platform for social stories for 13 to 20-year-olds, establish a new category of content, and get young people involved in reading and writing again. Which I think educationalists and pedagogues will like. And our commercial purpose is really to become a global media publishing company and identify and commercialize more young talent than any other publisher. So if we move to the next slide, please.
Are we trying to do a self-publishing company here?
We're not totally self-publishing. I think we're more of a social network for readers and writers. I'd like to position ourselves more as that for now. We're not actually a self-publishing platform.
Okay.
So yeah, Novellis is a community of readers and authors. Readers can find a new and unique category of content by young adults. And authors can publish their work and get feedback as they progress. So it's almost going back to the time that Dickens used to publish a chapter at a time and take the feedback from his audience and then change the story going forward based on the feedback that he received. So it's a very, very sticky platform. The readers and the writers love the feedback that they get from the community, and they adjust the storyline according to the feedback that they get. Teachers and educators are starting to use the platform in schools also to teach creative writing and give feedback and peer assessment. And there's just a couple of articles from publications that have featured us so far. We've been going since 2010, but only launched in the UK in February this year. Okay. Next slide, please. So here's just a couple of examples of young writers that have become successful after sidestepping traditional publishing channels, and we're seeing more and more of this. So Christopher Palini, he was later signed by Random House, one of the most successful recent young authors. You can see Amelia Rhodes there as well, Amanda Hockling, who I think is pretty well known. It's interesting though, once these authors have self-published, they've then gone on to mostly all get publishing contracts from the major publishing houses. So it's almost like self-publishing, and community sites like ours are becoming almost like agents and talent discovery sites for the major publishers. They have a big issue with discovery. So just some launch results so far. You can see the graphs are showing quite a good trend in terms of our monthly site visits, registered site users, and our iOS. We now have apps for iOS and the Android platforms. We've been featured by iTunes as new and noteworthy several times, and we're up to almost 15,000 downloads for our app. I'm just going to try and pick out some key stats here. Yeah, I think monthly hours spent reading and writing and commenting passed 45,000 in May, which is up 40%, roughly 45% since February. We're growing 20% month over month, which is quite good growth as well. So some more soft launch results. 15,000 stories and 90,000 chapters have been published since we launched. It's interesting that not everybody that comes to the site are writers. Only 40% of users actually write. The rest are reading and commentating. The average time spent on the site is 17 minutes, which is extremely sticky and shows a very engaged community. The most popular authors being downloaded 40,000 times, read 40,000 times, which is more than most traditional authors, well, many traditional authors. You can see that stories read passed 2 million in December, 3 million in February, and 4.5 million in May. And we've had more than 450,000 comments since launch. So I think it's a very interesting community that's developing here.
Just in terms of content.
What is the size of the total community?
Could you say that again?
What is the size of your total community?
We have a community split between Denmark, where we originated, and the UK, but it's coming close to 25,000 users now. So it's still quite small numbers, but growing all the time. Like we're still much in our infancy.
How can 2 million stories be read if the community is only 25,000?
Because, I'm talking about users. You don't have to, to become a user, you set up a profile, but you don't have to have a profile to read. So I'm not
presumably you can read more than one story, yeah?
Yeah, you can read more than one story, and you also don't need to be a user. So I was talking users. when I talk about the community.
What is the total size of the community between users and readers? Because that is
I'd need to go in and aggregate some data, because then I'd need to look at our visits over a certain amount of time. And yeah, I don't have that data, but I can get it for you.
Right. All right.
Okay. So we believe that the traditional publishing model is broken. I alluded to this at the very beginning. It's becoming more and more difficult for publishers to discover and pick talent, and also trends. Whereas with Novellas, we believe that talent discovery is part of the site. It's bubbling up good stories. We can see from the community what's popular, what's going to sell. So for publishers, that's very interesting. They don't have the type of insight that we have. The path to publishing work. Sorry, go on.
Go on. One question I have is, I think, which is on every mind of all the judges, is how do you make money? What is the business model of this?
Well, if we want to skip to the next slide, I think I have it outlined. If I don't, then I can just comment to it. Sorry, do you want
just before we go on to that one, the only content is fiction at the moment, is that right?
There is some non-fiction as well. There are some non-fiction too.
Okay.
So how do you make money?
So we've got several ways of making money. Obviously, not that we're monetizing just yet. We're very much focused on building our user base. But we're looking at several different areas to making revenue, which is rights management, so actually selling content through the site using Apple App Store and Amazon model of the self-publishing, so 70% going to the author and 30% to ourselves. Advertising is a very obvious one, but we need to be careful around that, especially looking at Facebook's IPO and value as a company, and obviously it's huge, but the share price is dropping, and I'm not sure sponsorship or advertising can be relied on for revenue. We're also looking at e-gifting, book covers, illustration. We don't see the site being limited to writing. Eventually it could be for illustrators, for film producers. We really see it as a platform for creativity, for bringing creative talent to the fore and commercializing that.
All right. We're going to let the judges ask their questions. Dominic, you want to go first?
Yes. How do you leverage the big social networks? How do you extract content? Why don't you extract content from the big social networks?
Do you think the big social networks have a huge amount of content? What do you mean by content? Sorry.
Well, you're looking for publishable content in some ways, and a lot of there is probably 1% of the social network content that is potentially publishable. I assume that, and I think my concern is your site is disconnected from that source, if you will, and and you're trying to recreate a separate social network, if you will, based on content, and I am not sure that that's my question is.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so we are looking at a Facebook app so that our users can actually access content through a reader or through a Facebook app through the network that they actually are part of already. Is that what you mean? So leveraging social networks more. Yeah, it's all on the roadmap. It's just chicken and egg with us. We need funding to get this development going.
But that's an important.
Rich, about you, do you have a question?
Yeah, just for an insight, like how much do you focus on writers versus readers, and using the Twitter model of publishing, which is obviously different. There's a very small percent who are writing. So when you think about your roadmap, how do you balance those out?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. We were just looking at categories the other day, and poetry is the most read category by far in the UK. But you're right, in terms of they're very much interlinked, but we probably focus more on our writers than on our readers. But we also focus on the commentators as well, and making sure that we build in features that are more social in nature, like a wall or notification feature. So we are thinking about our readers, but the tendency is to obviously think about the writers as well and provide tools for them. But it's a good point.
Okay. We are going to try to get Bruce back on. And Bruce, can you please unmute your line and give us an audio check quickly so we can see if we can do yours? Bruce? No? Bruce, can you say something if you want to do the pitch now? Okay. Let's go to J.T. O'Donnell then.
Hello.
Hi, J.T. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is J.T. O'Donnell, and I'm the founder of Career HMO, which is an elite caliber career coaching service provider for the regular professional, and that's all done virtually using technology over the internet. Next slide, please. The foundation of this is based on the 4 truths of career development. My background for the last 15 plus years is in HR and staffing, and most recently I'm a serial entrepreneur. My first time around was building a site called careerlism.com, which is a sister company to this one. And we believe that every job is temporary, which is the tagline of our free blog called careerlism.com. School teaches you everything except how to get the job. Nobody should job search alone. And then most importantly, number 4, that we are all businesses of one. And from this particular belief, we decided it was important to build this sister company, CareerHMO.com, because what we're finding today is that there are new roles to job search and career development, and in spite of all the great information out there, there's not really a process for people to understand this. And so usually the only people that benefit are people that can afford very expensive coaching where they can get that kind of assistance to help them become a high performer. And we really wanted to churn that entire concept on its ear because we feel that there's lots of potential out there for people to be able to take advantage of excellent career coaching. So CareerHMO is a virtual membership site that we've built with a really robust back end. We have extensive pre-coaching tools inside the system and a systematic approach for people to utilize them, including over 200 video tutorials. Pre-coaching is the way that you can make coaching affordable. When you have tools of this level, people can get a lot of the information they need so that when they do need to finally work with a career coach, they come better prepared and the time spent with the coach is much more valuable. The other thing that we have is 24/7 access, and people are very busy, many are working, and they don't have the ability to set time one-on-one with a career coach and attend a scheduled appointment, so the flexibility is very advantageous. We offer one-on-one support from dedicated experts who are proven, vetted, and approved by us so that they can work with them on one of several different levels, and you're seeing those program needs there. $9 a month is access to the content and community only. We do live chats on a regular basis with career coaches that level can participate in as well. $19 a month gives them a direct access to their own career coach where they work one-on-one by email and they're guaranteed a response within 1 business day. And the $139 a month is our highest level, which guarantees them a half hour of career coaching by Skype or phone, plus the unlimited email support. And they get that half hour each and every week. Currently, we have over 200 paying members of this program. 90% of them are in the middle plan. That's our most popular plan. But we do have 5% in the content one and 5% in the higher level one. Both of those subscription levels were only recently introduced at the beginning of this year. So we're happy those came about as a result of our clients asking for them, and we're already seeing some growth there as well.
If you have a question here quickly before
Sure.
you move on, what is the deal with your career coaches? Are they doing this on a volunteer basis to get exposure through you? Are you paying them a commission or a percentage?
That's a great question. They're paid a flat hourly rate, and it's a highly reduced rate versus the average that they would make privately because there's absolutely no marketing involved. So for these coaches, what's exciting is they can pick up 5 or 10 hours a week if they want to and get that supplemental income. And in the coaching market, we have a ton of very talented coaches out there, but coaches struggle as businesses of one. They're not really good at marketing themselves. So this is a wonderful solution for them to get that additional money and income while they're trying to build up their own private practices.
And how many coaches do you have?
Well, actually, we've vetted them through the Careerism site, so we have over 75 experts. Currently now, though, based on this model, I'm able to support this myself along with one other coach. But we are designed to scale to be able to drop 10,000 people on there overnight. I've got people waiting in the wings begging to be able to be coaches in this program. So what we're really trying to figure out now is how to scale it. We worked very hard to make sure that it could handle it if it had a sudden drop. So now we're ready to turn it on and really make that happen.
Okay.
The market potential, candidly, is huge. In America alone, 84% of Americans want a new job. That's estimated about 70 million people, 15 million still unemployed. And the highest level of unemployment is falling in the youth category, the recent graduates between 16 and 25. Again, everybody needs this help, and once they realize they need coaching, their first barrier is usually the time factor as well as the financial factor, and we've removed both of those. Where we see the opportunity to move away from the one-off, which is how we acquire people now, they hear about us through our sister site, Careerism, we see three larger areas, outplacement being the number one. HP is laying off 27,000 people. We dropped one blog post letting them know that we would offer a special deal to those affected. Within 6 hours, we were contacted by somebody at HP, and we're hosting a live free webinar on Monday so that they can learn about how to leverage a layoff and get exposure to our program. So we know this stuff works, but outplacement is very close to the vest. It's hard to know about it until it's after it's happened. So because we're not the proven outplacement company, we're going to have to really scratch and work to get recognition so people know that we're a really viable alternative to what's out there. Insurance companies, the whole employee assistance programs, we see us as a complementary benefit offering and would love to start to partner with them and make us part of their program that people could leverage. And then, of course, fitness partnerships. Fitness, health, and wellness goes hand in hand with your career, and we're looking into exploring ways that we could do a referral bonus for large national chains that they could send people to us as well.
I'm not convinced about your last 2 points, the insurance companies and fitness partnerships. I think they're kind of a stretch. Outplacement is an interesting idea, but really, I mean, if you look at where I think you would have the maximum traction is in the youth market. The youth market is a very, very serious problem right now.
Yes, and I'll tell you where we struggle, and I get so frustrated about it, is that we've knocked on the door of the colleges. We've tried to work with the Career Center counselors. The two main barrier to entries there is financial. The universities themselves spend no money on their Career Centers because at that point they feel they've already worked with the students in the classrooms themselves. And the second thing that we run into is the Career Service Centers are petrified of us because they feel that we're going to eliminate their jobs. So we get the door closed repeatedly on this. When students find us, they say, where have you been? Why didn't we have you? But it is very, very hard. That market is not welcoming.
What about the community colleges?
We could go after the community colleges. They might be a little bit more open to it, but again, it is shocking how much of those dollars spent on an education are not going anywhere near these services. They just haven't wrapped their head around it yet that this needs to be part of the process. They see it as the student's job to do.
Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to the other judges. Dominic, would you like to go first?
Sure. How do you ensure that there is a common approach to tutoring? Is there a framework that your tutors are using to ensure a good user experience?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. So I actually authored a book called Careerism, and in there is a 4-point methodology. That entire methodology has been built out in video and support tutorials within the program, and the career coaches have gone through that program and know how to coach to it, because pre-coaching is a very important part of this process. To be able to give that exceptional level coaching, you have to push these people to watch these tutorials and do those steps first and then come back to us, but it also helps build consistency in the process.
Okay.
Rich?
Yeah, my question was more of a comment about market segment, and it seems like there is an opportunity with high potential employees at large companies, or even by partnering with some of the startup organizations like Y Combinator to get some of the first-time CEOs a pretty efficient way to get some advice, and just was interested in your thought on that segment and if you've pursued it.
No, we haven't pursued it. All along it's been about, we know that this would work, but build a really strong infrastructure so that when we got there, if something came along, we could say, yes, we can handle it. Now, truthfully, my next step is to figure out where can I go market this on a large scale, so that's great advice.
Yeah, I think at least here, in the Valley, there's just been perk escalation. And I think that this seems like a great one that any company would want to do, and also a relatively cost-effective one. I think it's easy to see the payout on this, and would ask you to look at that. I think that's a great segment.
It's a great, and I'll just also mention, thank you for saying that the reality is that our people don't unsubscribe, because once they get a job, if they were looking to change jobs, they're very concerned about making a great impression. And I have people joining now saying, I can't get a promotion, I can't move, something's going on. So we coach heavily to that as well. We believe they should stay a member just like in a gym membership, and that is paying off for us. And that's been a big surprise because most membership sites have about a 4-month duration. We're not seeing that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, anybody else? Charlie, are you still on the call? Would you like to ask anything?
My question was actually going to be how long people subscribe for, so I think you've just answered down perfectly. The other one was around how much of the payment then goes directly to the coaches. What kind of commission do you take?
Oh, that's a great question. So as you can imagine, the nice part about this is that once the digital assets are built, it's residual. I should mention that there is a sign-up fee for the first month, so at least at the higher levels. You pay $49 to sign up and then $19 a month after the first month, and you pay $179 and then $139 after the first month. To be very transparent, the coaches make $50 an hour and they're independent contractors. So we make a very healthy profit off of this because now that the software and everything is in place, once we start to scale, the margins get much, much bigger.
Did you do any research on whether the $49 upfront is actually maybe a potential barrier to take up for younger people?
Oh my God. Yes, I love that question. Our research on that has come from our own 2 years of beta testing pricing. When we remove an initial barrier like that, you're absolutely right, we do see more people, but they don't engage in the process because they haven't financially invested. So that $49 and $179 is reflective of people really committing to the process. We do offer a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee on that. So there's no barrier in that sense, but what we found is when they invest, they participate, and we have a very high level of participation in that first month. That's when we need them as a coaching opportunity, right? If they're joining us, they're feeling pain. I know from my own experience in coaching that if I can get them then, I can get them to have some aha moments, and that's what gets them into the program and working more effectively. So we had to put that in there from a commitment standpoint, and it has really paid off.
Have you had a thought, had to think about possibly for students reducing that rate? So giving them
Yes, we have, and I will tell you that we have done some customized programs. So, for example, we've offered all of the folks at HP Affected a very specific 4-month package, and that's going to give them, 4 months in the program at a reduced rate by 20%. We have looked at that for students as well. Students will often contact us and say, I want to get in this, but I can't afford it, and if they can show me a valid EDU, we will try to work with them as well. But again, I think I can't put all that pricing on there right now. What I hope to do is figure out the right areas and then go after it very strategically with marketing. Great question, yes.
We're going to stop JT there. JT, very good presentation, excellent job.
Thank you,
by
everyone.
the way, to introduce you to the voices that you just heard, the female voice that you just heard was Kim Roditi from ANN Media, and the one before that was Charlie Mortimer, also from ANN Media. So get to know these English accents. Next is Julie Goldman, the company's original runner. Julie, if you could unmute your line and come and tell us what you're doing. Julie? I see that your line is still muted, which is why we cannot hear you. What's going on? There we go. You're on, Julie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud and clear, Julie.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't do anything, so I don't know what happened. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Julie. Go ahead.
Okay, good. I was making sure you could hear me. Okay. Hi, my name is Julie Goldman, and I am the founder and CEO of the Original Runner Company. When I was getting married many years ago, I needed an aisle runner to cover the absolutely hideous carpeting in the venue where I was being married. And I thought it would be very easy to get something. So I went down to my local craft store, and the only choices commercially available were paper, similar to dryer sheet material, and plastic, like a child's party tablecloth. And I really was amazed that these were the only two options for a nice black tie wedding. How is it possible that this is something that women who wear heels the size of daggers are supposed to walk down, not rip, and as I envisioned, ruining all my photos? So I made something for my own wedding, made out of fabric, and I painted it to look like the fall theme of my entire wedding. When the photos eventually came out and were seen by the florist and the venue and many other people, everyone wanted to know where I had purchased this aisle runner. And I had said I had made it for myself and realized this didn't exist in the market. And if I thought it was a good idea, maybe others would too. So I launched the Original Runner Company, and here we are years later, and the company has become very successful. We sell the world's only non-slip fabric aisle runners for weddings and special events. We sell them in over 30 colors and prints and fabrics. And we also custom hand paint, and that's really the sweet spot of the business. We custom hand paint our runners to match every event. A corporate event could be a logo, birthday parties, bat mitzvahs, but our prime business, of course, is weddings, where we do monograms. We make runners look like cobblestone paths, plaid, football fields, whatever you can imagine. The runners are a cotton polyester blend, so they are machine washable, and that's actually a really important part for our 5,000 or so wholesale clients around the world that purchase the runners at a really nominal fee and then re-rent them for upwards of $600 per event, machine wash them and rent them again. So it's a real profit area for our wholesale clients rather than it being an expense. The runners do come in two widths, but they're custom cut to every length that you could possibly need. So you're not finding that in a ceremony the aisle is too long or that the runner is too short, stopping in the middle of the aisle in somewhere like St. Patrick's Cathedral where the aisle is 550 feet long. We can do that length. Our runners, because they are non-slip, require no pinning, no taping, nothing. So they can be used outdoors and indoors. They can even be used on the beach. And they're completely tear and puncture proof. So in this age of super, super high stilettos, you're not going to find any tearing or anything like that in the runners. And because we have clients in over 50 countries around the world, we do provide worldwide shipping and overnight shipping. Next slide, please. There we go. So last year, we took the business to a different place, and we introduced a new line of damask and glittered runners. These took off immediately, and upon introducing them, we went into back order status in less than 2 weeks. And since that time, we've actually reordered this product many times and ourselves and made it, and every time it goes into back order. And currently, 6 of these patterns are in back order right now for this summer as we're waiting for them to come back in. As you can see in this simple shot on here, it adds a lot of vibrance, a lot of texture to the aisle for a real nominal fee, around $160 US. Next slide, please. But really, as I said before, our most famous product are our custom runners. As you can see in these pictures, these are just simple sampling of things that we can do that take from the invitation design, the decor of the entire event, and often even the bride's gown. So when we found in the recessionary times, and we survived that, being a non-necessity luxury brand, it was a difficult time when the recession hit. But we really pitched to our clients was save your floral budget for your reception, and you can have something that is nominally cost efficient and nominally priced that can decorate your entire ceremony site and make your photos look dynamic and fantastic and really add that personal touch to any venue that brides are really looking for. The non-traditional venue is really the way weddings are going these days. Less and less brides are being married in the traditional house of worship. And there isn't a traditional aisle then, where there's catering hall or out on the grass. And by having an aisle runner, it gives you a definitive line and aisle for people to walk down. Next slide, please. What's really sort of jumped our business forward and has helped in our PR is obviously our very loyal celebrity clientele. We've done runners for, as you see, Kim Kardashian, Fergie, Kevin Jonas, and such. This always helps us obviously propel our business forward, gets us a lot of magazine coverage, and has helped us expand our brand. Next slide, please. And in doing so, how do we scale this business? Well, in the last couple of years, we've been scaling the business by moving it forward by doing complete accessory packaging. So when you do order an aisle runner, you can take that theme to the flower girl bag, to the ring pillow, to the banner, to the kneeling pillow, whatever it may be. And these types of sets are really cost effective for the client, but also carry that entire theme through their whole wedding. Next slide. So, as I mentioned, I am Julie Goldman. I am the founder and CEO of the Original Runner Company. Thank you for listening.
That's awesome, Julie. What level are you at right now, revenue-wise?
This year, we're going to close out around $900,000.
Fantastic. Judges, Rich, would you like to start with your question?
Yeah, I guess what are your main, besides the adding in the other accessories, where do you see the most potential for growth for your business?
It's a very good question. The largest sort of client base that we have is wholesale. We sell about 80% wholesale. We do sell direct to bride, obviously through our website and such, but wholesale is really the sweet spot. And we do have clients such as Disney World, where we do hundreds and hundreds of weddings with them per year. So we're looking to replicate that model to more resort-based places that have thousands of weddings per year and being their exclusive vendor. We have about 10 of these types of clients right now. It's not an area that we've actually spent a lot of time in. We've been really busy, but we've brought in some new wholesale salespeople this year, and that's going to be the real push this year. We'll be landing more of these types of clients where we can get, Disney is 25% of my revenue each year. If I can replicate that model, obviously with other types of places, then that would be a great way to move the business forward significantly.
Cool. Dominique, I have a question for you actually. When you're putting on your ANN Media hat on, this ANN Media has one of the largest reaches into the female demographic in the world. So how do you react to this as you listen to Julie?
I'm very favorably impressed, and my question was more, how do you increase the revenue per deal, if you will? How do you add products that can be bundled so that you get to a higher revenue per deal? And I think it's a very promising idea.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We really are always working on that. We do a lot. Everything we do is sort of a la carte. So let's say someone calls and wants to purchase a custom runner for their wedding. It's a monogram. The date is a la carte, the borders, the glitter, anything they want to add. So we're constantly saying, oh, that would look good. We're upselling them in that process. And that has been really effective because the average, the starting price for a custom runner is about $350, but our average sale price for a custom runner is about $575. So it does help us and allow us to do that. For us, there's a fine line of how far you can push a bride with their budget to spend on a product like this. We definitely have clients that have unlimited budgets, but the average bride is really reluctant to go over $600 for a product such as this that they use for 20 minutes and they're walking on it. So we have to find that happy spot.
Julie, where do you do your production, and how much scalability do you have built into your back end? So if this were to be something that ANN Media decides to, get involved in, would you be able to scale your production back end?
100%. We actually, the business was based in New York City for about 6 years, and then we moved it to New Jersey about 2 years ago, and we opened up a production. We had our production was actually in New York, but as you can imagine, the rents and the sizing issues we ran into there. So we eventually moved it to right outside the city in New Jersey, and we now have a 5,000 square foot manufacturing facility, and we have about 5 empty spaces upstairs that we aren't using yet, and we did that because we were growing about 20% a year, and we knew we needed more space. And truthfully, I rented this entire building for what it cost me to rent one office in my old New York City space.
Good. Charlie, Kim, would you like to ask anything? We have one more, by the way.
Yeah, no, I think it's just really a new area to us. It's not something you see much of in the UK, as I'm sure you're aware, Julie. So it's all very new for us. So I'm not sure if there were any kind of specific questions, whether, Kim?
We have a nice number of clients in the UK, actually. We deal with a lot of clients there.
What kind of clients?
We actually sell mostly to event planners and venues. So some of the most really prestigious event planners in the UK, we do sell to them, and pretty much daily we were on the phone with them. So we have a nice facility, and actually we've gotten some nice press in the UK also because of that.
That's nice. As I said, it's really interesting. I mean, it's not something I think any of us here are particularly familiar with. But
no, it's a small business, and even though we've been around and we definitely have a nice niche area that we work in, it's still about exposure. It's still letting people know that we exist, that we're the better option, because we would rather people not use an aisle runner at all if they're not going to purchase from us, because the alternative is so horrible. And that's what we're really still trying to convince people, that people kind of get to a point where they say, this is how much I want to spend on my wedding, and I want to spend $15 on the aisle runner. Well, you're pretty much going to get toilet paper for that price, and if you want that in your photos, that's what it's going to look like. So we're always trying to convince people that they do need to spend even that extra, even if they went for just a plain one at $145 US, obviously that's going to save their photos and make everything look so much better. So it's still an educating the consumer process.
Yeah. But why can't this be done, at lower cost by a large kind of manufacturer or retailer such as, I don't know, in America, Sears, Target, people like that?
Actually, we've been talking to lots of different people and trying to partner with, and the issue comes down to we're an expensive product as far as the resources that go into it. We have a cotton-based product that's backed with an oil-based product. So you're talking about two very expensive, goods to build the product from in the first place. So the cost is already at a certain level, which makes it difficult, which is why we are a higher-end brand, because if you were looking for something to be of quality, you have to pay for that, unfortunately. So, and truthfully, we've actually had a lot of people pop up to compete with us, including a couple of very large companies here in the U.S., and they couldn't succeed at it at the way we're doing it. It's also reputation. We have a very strong reputation.
Here, folks, we have to give Bruce a chance to present, and we have to do judging and announce the winners within the limited time that we still have available. So, Bruce, if you could please unmute your line and tell us what U-Motif is all about, that would conclude our presenters.
Great. Can you hear me now, third time lucky?
Oh, we can hear you well, so go for it.
Fantastic. Jolly good. Another English accent now. And so what I'm going to talk through, U-Motif, it's a beautifully simple well-being tracker, and we're focused on helping people achieve their goals. So I'm linked to Imperial. I did my executive MBA there and graduated a short time ago. So if I take you through the background to U-Motif, what we're doing and where we want to go with things. So if we go on to the next slide. So the issue is that most of us set ourselves goals, losing weight, trying to eat healthier, exercising more, taking our medication properly, but it could be reducing stress, career change, achieving a sporting goal. On the next slide, the reality is, if we go to the next slide. Thanks. The problem is that, as we know, most of us don't achieve our goals. Fewer than 1 in 12 of us do, which is great for the people that do achieve their goals, but not great for the rest of us. So if we go on to the next slide, where we're really focusing is looking at the health, diet, and well-being sort of markets, mostly in this area. It's at least 1.8 billion a year for online diet and weight loss plans, which is a segment of the $1 trillion a year health market. So failure to achieve those your goals that you set yourself in this area is really quite important, not only personally and socially, but also people spend a lot of money in this area. So we want to try and help people achieve their goals and stick with things for a longer period of time. So our initial target market we identify there is mostly women who have or are following diet, health, weight loss and well-being plans. So taking us back onto the next slide, where we see that people set themselves goals but don't achieve them, the good news is that keeping a track of yourself on a daily basis is a proven way of helping you achieve those goals. But the problem is that most of the existing tools, so we're talking web and mobile apps, are just too complex. So, for example, 9 out of 10 stop filling out food diaries after 6 weeks because of the high level of complexity. A number of the other tools are too complex as well. So this limits the effectiveness of any of those tracking tools because people drop out. And there's relatively high churn rates for these online diet and weight loss plans. So if we go on to the next slide, what we wanted to do was, we know that there's a competitive landscape out there, but we've identified that there's a real gap for something that's simpler, quicker, has fewer features, is fun, user-centered and social as well. So something which is definitely user-centered, designed from the user's point of view. So if we go on to the next page, we can see just a screenshot of our homepage. We've launched a beta, mostly to get something out there, collect a lot of feedback, advice and input, and we're currently designing the mobile apps that we're going to be building over the next few months. If I just take you through a couple of things on the website, the main thing you see in the middle is a flower-like interface. And the idea is that you will rate yourself on a 1 to 5 scale each and every day. So you come back and you give yourself a 5 if you've done fantastically, or if it's great, and a 1 if it's not very good. So we think that this is the lightest touch way that you can track yourself on a daily basis to give yourself some actionable feedback on how you're doing, but it's very quick, very simple, and everybody can understand. Our sort of presumption really is that most adults have read and consumed enough media to know that pizza and chips for dinner is not great, but a grilled piece of chicken with salad is good. So it's enough for them to just keep logging how they're doing, and they can self-assess. So self-assess.
You have some sort of content with calorie analysis in the back end supporting this?
Well, so at the simplest, most basic, no. All it is you very simply go in and rate yourself on a 1 to 5 basis every day. So that's the simplest top-level dashboard. And on the screen here, you can see on the right-hand side where we've got tips. There's a box there where we'd be giving people advice and information. And as we note in this kind of the little pop-out box here, we want to open that up to third parties who could then go and give that type of information to the user.
And the app is free for users? The website and the mobile app, they're free for the users?
Yeah, so it'll be a freemium model, free to download and sign up and use the website, and we'll monetize because these tips that you'd buy into would be premium content produced.
Okay. All right.
It would be uploaded by third parties, as we can see here, and users would buy in to that premium content, either on a one-off basis or perhaps on a recurring subscription basis. So, for example, you might download something from maybe one of the ANN media companies, which could be, for example, a 6-week bikini diet, or something to help you manage your medication regime with putting some bids together with the Cure Parkinson's Trust. You might buy into a 3-month marathon or 10K training plan, or integrate any number of devices in this quantified self movement. So the sort of devices like pedometers, accelerometers, the Jawbone Up or the Nike Fuel Band are quite well known, where you can integrate your data into Umotif through their APIs. We take your data and turn what is normally a qualitative assessment of your daily performance into a quantitative assessment based on the device data. We also see that this is a way that businesses could offer simple business well-being programs, in that all of the staff would buy into or download a pack of this extra bolt-on content for a business to run a Drink More Water Week, for example, or a Eat More Fruit Week. So the concept is very simple tracking. People would opt in to share their motif socially. So it would be a bit almost like an Instagram. So it would be you put your motif up, like people share their Instagram photos, and have comments and feedback underneath. That sort of lends itself to the psychology of, if you buddy up with someone or commit with your friends and get feedback, then you're more likely to achieve your goals. So we're very much earlier than some of the other people speaking today. Our beta website is up, it's live. We've had some people registering, using, and most importantly, giving us feedback. We've got a small group of expert advisors who are guiding us on how we build the mobile apps to make sure that they can use Umotif with their clients. So, for example, Rowley, one of our well-being experts, or Tim, one of our health personal trainers, they would use Umotif with their clients. They would upload their content into Umotif, and then their clients would use Umotif as their tracking tool, and basically it's a content delivery platform. So we put some bids together with, just on the previous slide, we put some bids together with Birkbeck University of London and the Cure Parkinson's Trust. You'd use Umotif as a medications tracker, so you'd have a reminder when you need to take your Parkinson's medication. You'd be able to track when you're taking it for medication compliance. So we're part of the London Quantified Self meetup group. Quantified Self is a big movement. You may well know about it. Kind of came out of Silicon Valley, and lots going on there. We presented at Digital Shoreditch a couple of weeks ago, and I know they're very, very tiny there, but we're wireframing the mobile apps at the moment to make sure that they that they simplify something which is potentially very complex behind the scenes. So yeah, if we could just go on to the final slide, which just identifies some of the questions or concerns about where we're going and thoughts. I wonder if maybe shall I stop there and.
So, you know, one of the things that you're going to run into, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is that this is a very, very busy category. It's very competitive. There's lots of free applications out there, and we know a lot of entrepreneurs who are struggling in this particular category. So it's not entirely clear to me how you rise above that noise, and how do you differentiate, how do you really become successful in this market? What is the clincher?
Yeah, so what we can see, there's a load of great things out there, but I think that a lot of what people are doing here is technology sort of pushing towards the user, and for a very mass market mainstream adoption, I think some of them are still too complicated to keep people engaged and keep using things in the long term. What we're trying to be is very user-centered, that this is quicker, easier, simpler, and hopefully sort of more beautifully designed than other things, so that the user will quite quickly jump into it. So we'll differentiate through being simpler.
I'm not convinced by that, but I'll turn it over to Rich and Dominique and Charlie and Kim to ask your questions. Who wants to go first? Rich?
Sure, I'll go. Question is really, I understand the differentiation, and you know, as a family that has a Fitbit that has gone through multiple generations, believe in the quantified self movement. But I guess my main question is, how do you intend to incent or get users to continue to add in data, and how do you differentiate, I guess, as part of that versus the folks that have devices that kind of automatically puts in that data?
Yeah. So two parts to it. One is how we're going to structure this is that the users buy into packs of content. So that could be this bikini diet. It could be integrating your Fitbit into the Umotive dashboard. So by delivering and receiving that content on a daily basis, that will encourage you and help guide you on how to score and how to keep coming back. So there'll be notifications that people will receive on the mobile and email. So partly through the content that they receive to keep them coming back. The other part will be to gamify it. I know a lot of people hate that word, but we could show people, for example, if they don't enter their data on a daily basis, the flower type motif might wilt, a bit like keeping your Tamagotchi alive. The more positive way of looking at that is you could see your motif growing as you enter data. So you want to keep it coming back, so it's sort of it reinforces the kind of organic nature of our design.
Okay, Dominique, you want to go next?
Yeah, I have the same question, basic question as Rich, but in a different angle. Is what kind of incentive do you provide people to come back? And along those lines, wouldn't that improve your business model if you had all sorts of goodies that you could offer your users to remain using the site, like coupons or promotions and etc.?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think this is part of our thinking, and we've been talking with Fitbug, who are a UK equivalent of Fitbit, really, about some of the ways that they incentivize people through points and coupons and things like that. I think it's common to all of the quantified self and all of these tracking tools is how you keep people coming back. So I think there's some of those kind of incentives we can build in. The other part is by the user sharing their motif within uMotif and then also posting to their Facebook wall, we hope that really engaging people in that social sharing is probably going to be quite effective. So that if you and I both commit to do something and track with uMotif, we can keep people, each other, engaged in achieving our goal and tracking.
All right. I am going to let Kim and Charlie finish asking questions and then hand you over to Maureen, who is going to take over the call while Dominic, Rich, and I go offline and finish the judging, and we'll come back and announce the winners within 7-8 minutes. So Maureen, over to you.
Sorry, was that first? Well, I think a quick question on that one would be just how would you plan to market it? Because I think I kind of agree with Sramana on this one, that it's a pretty busy space, and I think when we've done similar stuff in terms of this kind of the fitness area, it's quite hard to establish high levels of credibility unless you're Nike and you've got a very cool looking thing that you wear on your wrist, or you're someone like that. So what were your kind of initial thoughts around how you would try and actually market this?
Yeah, I think our main channel is sort of a B2B2C. So where we're working with our panel of expert advisors who are all dietitians, career change experts, fitness and well-being consultants, they would then use uMotif with their clients. So each of them has 10, 20, 50 clients. They would promote uMotif to those clients, and then we would make sure that we use that as our kind of iteration and refining to make sure that uMotif is really working for that group of people. We're working with the Cure Parkinson's Trust to create a pack which will be specific for Parkinson's patients to track and manage their medicine. So we'd look to get uMotif out via other parties. So B2B2C basically, and we'd where the end user would buy into a pack for this content, we would share that revenue with whoever creates the pack. So for example, A&M Media create a bikini diet plan or other content that the end user buys into, we'd split revenue with A&M Media or Cure Parkinson's Trust or the dietitians and fitness consultants that we work with.
Okay. I think that makes sense, the kind of platform idea. I know I'd say it was kind of pushed for time, so shall I hand over to you, Maureen?
Great, thanks so much. Right now we're going to watch a video of Sramana talking. If you go and click on the tab in the upper right corner of the video window, you will be able to watch the video. It lasts 7 minutes.
And I want to share with you a very few points. One of the missions of 1 Vision by 1 Million is to democratize entrepreneurship education. And I want to share with you a very few points of very largely has been kind of floating in the air. It's tribal knowledge. It's not available in books. It's not available in DVDs. It's available in the form of tribal knowledge. And no one has really taken the time to institutionalize the tribal knowledge that is floating in the air of Silicon Valley to make it portable for entrepreneurs all around the world. And that is what we institutionalize. really want to reach 1 million entrepreneurs. All right, folks, we are back. The judges have had a chance to work through your presentations and what you've told us so far. So we have 4 companies that we decided that deserve a scholarship to work on their projects further. Two of them are actually quite significantly further along than the other 2. The first 2 that we picked are actually the last 2 presenters. Original Runners is almost $1 million company with a very proven business model and very well aligned with the ANN Media female audience. So we chose that one as one of the scholarship winners today. A second company we chose today is Career HMO. Again, the company already has validated its business model, monetization model, and has a good alignment with ANN Media's career vertical. ANN Media also has good presence in the career vertical. The other 2 that we have chosen, one is the online marketplace for last-minute print advertising. It's a substantially earlier space company concept, but we've chosen it because it does address a really significant problem, with the caveat, and this is feedback to you, Chris, this is going to be an expensive product platform to build. So we are concerned about how you're going to finance the building of that platform. What do you have on your team? Whom do you have on your team? All these details need to be sorted out, and a strategy needs to be put together. But from a concept point of view, we like the problem that you're addressing is something that we like. And then the other one that we chose is Yvonne's company, that's Movelas. And Yvonne, the issue we have with your company is monetization model. Advertising is not monetizing all that great. And one of the charters of the ANN Media 1M1M partnership that we have put in place is to find alternative monetization models for the 130 million consumers that ANN Media has access to. And we're looking for better monetization models than advertising. And we are not yet convinced at all how you are going to monetize the community that is coming together at Movelas. However, we are willing to work through that with you and helping you think through what your options are and so forth. So the winners, once again, are Movelas. And I didn't really get the name of Chris, your advertising platform, advertising exchange.
Yep, Orbishy.
That's the second winner, and then of course Original Runners and Career HMO. That's it. Congratulations, winners. We are pretty much at the end of the session. Congratulations to those of you who have won scholarships today. And folks, we are going to continue to do these sessions as we go along, and you will see more work with ANN Media and Elance this month and next month. We have other collaborations with other UK universities coming up. Next week, in fact, is our free roundtable with the scholarship contest with London School of Economics and the European Startups Group. So that's June 19th, same time, 8 a.m. Pacific time normally. And then after that, we have a couple of US-focused sessions in Colorado, particularly June 21st and June 28th. We have work going on in Colorado. July 5th is a free-for-all regular roundtable, and July 12th is Click Workspace in Massachusetts. July 26th again is King's College with ANN Media and Elance. Now, June 19th and June 26th, the two ANN Media Elance contests are scholarship contests. The rest are regular pitch and feedback sessions. They are not scholarship contests. And in every one of these sessions, by the way, you are welcome to register to pitch and to see if you can find a pitch slot, whether it's a scholarship contest or otherwise. You're most welcome to register on our website to find the slot so that you can have a discussion with us and get some feedback on your business. So that's pretty much it for from 1M1M, ANN Media, and Elance. Thank you very much for attending. We are 5 minutes over the time we had budgeted today. So look forward to
just before we finish, Sramana, I'd like to say from everyone at ANN, I thought all of the pictures were really good, really interesting to hear. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that and present those to us. And I think it was very, very interesting. If there's anything else, any other questions you have for us, then feel free to get in touch, LinkedIn or whatever, and just drop us a line. So thank you very much for that.
And do look up both ANN Media and Elance online, to get familiar with their resources and what they bring to the table. Elance, by the way, is also offering 100 Elance credits. Elance is a services exchange. So you can access a lot of the resources from our sponsors through these relationships as well. So please take advantage of what they bring to the table as well. All right, everybody, thank you very much for coming. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.